late streaming today for tonight, but I want to talk about something, man. And it just shows how things work out in your favor. Well, it's funny how karma works out. I'll put it like that. I want to first start off by saying, when you work another job and you're working for a company for a certain period of time, you could devote a lot of energy and time into that job, and they don't value you as a worker. They take you for granted, and then when they end up getting rid of you, everything starts falling apart. So I don't know if you guys have watched my oldest videos, but there was a video that I posted some months ago that talked about the company that did me dirty. I didn't put the name of the company in my title because I don't want to give it no attention. I don't want to acknowledge them because at that point I've lost all respect for them. But the name of the company is called SEMA 4, SEMA number 4. I worked for this company for over close to 3 years. And in the original stages, when I begin to work there, I put in so much energy and time into that job. Let me see. I'm gonna let you see my face. I'm not scared to show my face. All right, here I am. Um, what I was gonna say. So I was working for this company, right? I worked for this job I started off as a lab assistant. And in the beginning stages of my work, I was working a lot of hours. I'm telling you, like 13 to 15 hours in a day. I was devoting a lot of time and energy into this job. Did a lot of overtime. You know what I mean? Put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this company. And what ended up happening was that they just started doing. They be asking for more stuff. When you are working your way from the bottom and trying to move your way up, jobs tend to take advantage of that because they see you as a scapegoat, so to speak. They will use you to do their beck and call, and they'll be so quick to throw you under the bus. So I was working for this job, and I put in so much time and effort into this company. I don't want to go into, like, I already explained the whole story behind it, but I put a lot of blood and sweat and tears into this job, and I have more than one person that vouched for me and said, I worked the hardest there. I was the hardest worker there. Even one guy that have been working with the hospital that's affiliated with the company that I worked at. He said of all the years he has been working there, he has never seen someone work as hard as me. Like, he have never seen anyone have put in much effort into getting the job done, and I've gone the extra mile like I did. He's like, you worked harder than anyone he have seen at that job. So I know it wasn't because of my lack of effort or my hard work or just doing a regular thing why I wasn't able to get the job. It was because when people take set on you or they try to gang up on you or they try to do you wrong, they have a tendency to try to stop you from moving up, and they like to keep you at a certain level, and they'll be quick to get rid of you because they don't value you as a person. These companies could care less about you as an individual. They'll only see you as a means to an end. You're only a number to them, and they'll be so quick to get rid of you. But the thing is, if you bring a lot of value to that company, you are more valuable than what they think you are and what they see you as. And I knew that once I left that job, everything was gonna fall apart because it was me that really kept everything going, that kept everything afloat, that kept everything moving in the right direction. I've implemented certain protocols in that company that allowed them to run more samples, run things more efficiently, and keep the workflow going smoothly. Before the company moved to Connecticut and they were stationed in Stanford, I came up with a certain protocol because I realized that the internal worksheet was separate from the external. And also, people couldn't update the worksheet unless someone else logged off of that file. Let me explain to you in detail. So we had a thing called the re-extraction worksheet, and what that worksheet composed of, or what it entails, is a list of samples, right? So we receive a list of samples in a given day from a session. And when we receive these samples, we will like check the label to make sure there are no errors, there are no discrepancies with the label. And once we verify there are no errors or discrepancies that we may have noticed, those samples will undergo extraction. And they will undergo typically two extractions. And we run those samples on two machines called Chemagic or Chemogens 1 and 2. So basically, once those samples have been extracted and they are completed for extraction, they will be updated on the re-extraction worksheet. So those samples will be updated on the re-extraction worksheet, and then those status update will be, let's say, once somebody have completed the extraction and it showed on the lab collector that has been completed, you will put complete on the re-extraction worksheet. So I will update it, but then I realized there was a huge flaw with the system, with the worksheet. What the problem with the worksheet was that when someone was updating the worksheet, you couldn't, if somebody else from a different department was updating the worksheet, right, for a particular sample, or they were updating a list of samples that needed to go for re-extraction, you couldn't go in that worksheet yourself and update anything because it would be locked in for editing because someone else had the file open up either in your department or in another department. It could be somebody right across from you. And if, as long as they have the worksheet open, even though they may not be technically using it, as long as the file is open on another computer, you won't be able to have access to the file to edit it. Basically, you could open it, but you couldn't be able to edit it for whatever purpose. Whether you want to update the sample re-extraction sheet, whether you want to maybe put a comment saying that this sample has been completed, is good for extraction, or you want to check if there's any list of more requests for any samples that need to go for extraction, re-extraction. And so it was a huge flaw in the system that I realized kind of slowed down the process of samples being correctly modified in the sample system, in terms of what samples have been already extracted or what samples are have to undergo more re-extraction. So to make a long story short, I came up with the idea that I was the one that implemented this protocol into the company to help run things run more smoothly and efficiently. I came up to with the understanding that how would it actually make sense that you have no access to these files just because someone else opened it on another computer. It could be somebody right across from you, and it happens. This happened a lot. Sometimes people will open it by mistake and then they'll forget to close the actual application, and it will have the computer on, but the computer may shut off, and it will still lock you in for editing because the person has it open on their computer, even though they're not technically using the computer, or they're not even updating the actual like the application for the worksheet. So it was a huge mess. So I'm like, if we have an internal worksheet, which they had, where you can actually have access to it and you can update it even though someone else may be updating it, you can see what they're doing, you can see if what samples they're editing, or what they're changing on the system. It doesn't prevent you from doing your work. So I said, I came up with the protocol, and I said, why not just integrate the same platform on the re-extraction? Why not just have it so you can see who's editing the worksheet, and you can also update it while they're doing the same thing? It shouldn't prevent you from updating the worksheet, because think about it, this is one of the most important aspect of the job. And it was a mess at times because what we had to do was we had to create copies of the same worksheet, and it would get lost in the mix of all the copies. It created a huge mess of like figuring out which one was the most up to dated worksheet, and people would create copy upon copies, and then the file would get corrupted because, let's say, you wanted to print out the most updated version. If you didn't have the right connotation on the file, you won't be able to even open up the file or be able to print the file because it will have like some type of error. So I came up with the protocol to make it so that it integrated into like an internal worksheet file where people can have access to the worksheet regardless of who's using it, and you'll be able to see who's editing it, and it will allow things to run more smoothly so it wouldn't slow down the process of samples being run under the machine or going for re-extraction or just allowing people to update the worksheet at the time they can do it while you will be able to have access to it and get samples for your extraction or update whatever you need to be updated. So I was on that implemented that protocol into the software and allowed the company to do something revolutionary in order for them to run samples more sufficiently and to keep the workflow going more smoothly. So it was because of me why the company was able to make more money and everything was able to run at a faster pace. So they implemented this protocol once they moved to Connecticut, right? And I didn't get no recognition for coming up with that idea. I didn't get no acknowledgement for that, and it's almost as if I didn't my original thought about it was just I came up with the idea and I made that point clear in the meeting, and I gave them a specific list of ways they can implement that protocol to allow the work to go according to plan, right? So it was because of me why the company was able to be successful and why they stayed afloat. So about like 3 months going in when I finally moved, right? Because I relocated to commute closer to the job to make the commute a lot faster and to save me more money. So after I relocated and I worked at this company when they relocated to Stanford, right? They let me go after 3 months, and it was all based off people trying to set me up. And let me tell you something: as a black man working in corporate America, they'll be so quick to undermine everything you do. They don't appreciate your hard work. They take you for granted and they think you're easily replaceable as if you don't have any value. And I know when I work, I bring a lot to the table. I'm not someone who just work for the sake of working. I take pride in what I do. And I'm a type of person, I'm a very hard critic of myself. I'm someone that take things when it comes on to like accountability, I take accountability for things I do wrong. If I know I do something wrong, I'm willing to say, you know what, I mess up and I'm willing to do what is necessary to make sure I rectify any mistakes I make. And that's the type of person I am. I am just honest and truthful with how I do my work. And I've noticed a lot when I was working at this job that a lot of people tend to not take accountability for anything they do wrong. They have a tendency to put the blame on somebody else. And there was one incident where there was a list of samples that had to go for undergo extraction, right? I was able to attend to all those samples because I had a really busy day, but left a note. I communicated with my coworker to let them know, I wasn't able to finish off these samples. Can they close it out the following morning, right? Come to find out, that same coworker who I communicate with threw me under the bus. He had it. He CC'd all the managers in the lab and said basically I didn't do my work and completely did me wrong. And eventually they had a meeting, right? And they separated me from that coworker, and they basically gang up on me and say I always seem to not do my work well. I'm always behind, and I never finish. Matter of fact, let me tell you what I was doing the time. Right, I was a person that closed out majority of the work that people left off the following day. Anything that they didn't do, I closed it out. So I was spending a lot of time making sure those particular assignments were done because I realized that people were not closing out their work, and I took pride in that, making sure everything was caught up to date. So I took that initiative to be that person that was on top of everything, and I was always the person to communicate with my coworkers to let them know, okay, what this is what I've managed to finish, this is what needs to be done, and this is what we have left, that's still pending. So I felt like in general I was really the person that kept everything together, kept everything in a cohesive manner. So to make a point, to come to the conclusion of this, the company let me go after 3 months, right? And it hit me really hard because I'm like, I know I did my job really well. In fact, if it wasn't for me, a lot of things wouldn't have gotten done. And when it comes on to my coworkers, I don't like to bring race into it because I'm not the type of person that like to use race as a scapegoat. But I've realized through my own experience that when you're a black person working in corporate America, they have a tendency to trying to take it like they try to act as if your work doesn't mean anything, like you don't have any value, as if you're disposable. So they will come up with different reasons, or come up with different sort of like ideas of as to why you're not a benefit to the company. So when I worked for this job, right, I realized that no matter how hard I worked and no matter how much effort I put into this job, it was never good enough. Even though I vouched for myself to try to get a promotion, it seemed like it took forever for them to give me a promotion. And here's the messed up thing about it. Before the company relocated to Connecticut, right, in Stanford, I worked so hard to get a promotion to the point where I had to go through some mock interview as if I was applying for the job all over again. I had to speak with the manager, explaining why I deserved to get a promotion. I had to fill out some form. I kid you not. I had to go through some application online, explaining why I believe I should deserve the promotion. And I did get paid a little bit more once eventually they moved to Connecticut. They promoted me, but it took a very long time for me to get the promotion. And I didn't get promoted right away. It took some effort. But the people who started after me, they got promoted ahead of me. And they didn't have to go through any of the steps I had to go through to get the promotion. And I realized that, I was just basically being stereotyped out. And it almost feels like I was taken advantage of, like not like taken for granted. If that, yeah, that's what I meant to say. I was taken advantage of too as well, because they would have me do more work for a little bit, like for a little, like basically I would go the extra mile. I would do more than what is necessary, but then I wouldn't get that same, energy. Like I wouldn't feel like my hard work was being appreciated. There are times when I would work 14, 15, 16 hours in a day. I would do more than necessary. And it's almost as if all my hard work wasn't even acknowledged. It wasn't almost, it basically what it was. My hard work wasn't acknowledged. I didn't get no thank yous or no like signs of appreciation to say, you're valued, you mean a lot to the company, you make a difference, and none of that stuff. So it came to my knowledge throughout the years being in corporate America that when you're a black man and you're trying to move up in corporate America, they will make it extremely difficult for you to move up, and your own people will sell you short too. It's not even about, oh, it's a white, it's the powers that be, especially in corporate America. We know the system is governed by the white people, right? We know they don't want to operate the way the society runs, right? They're not all powerful or anything like that. But if you get what I'm saying, the corporate America is not really designed for a black person to elevate to the next level. Even though you're more qualified than your coworkers, you may be more qualified than a lot of people. They will make it extremely difficult for you to move up in the hierarchy of things. They want to keep you they want to keep you at a proverbial state of like mediocrity where you just do. They would keep you at a certain level where you work harder than anyone else, but you won't ever feel like you have the capacity to move beyond a certain level. If you get what I'm saying. So to summarize all of this, when I end up getting let go by this job, it devastated me because I was saying to myself, all my hard work felt like it went on deaf ears, and people were basically coming up against me, trying to throw me under the bus and undermine everything I did for that job. So I had a coworker who basically threw dirt on my name, and basically lied on me. And when I proved through the email that I did everything he claimed I didn't do, he backtracked, but then he was still being passive aggressive about it and saying, "Yet you still didn't do this or that." You know what I mean? And then this woman that was hired recently in the job, she started taking set on me, started making a false accusation about me. So I reported the incident to HR, and then eventually they let me go. They retaliated against me for reporting the incident. But it's funny. Let me tell you what ended up happening. So I ended up leaving this job, right? And I was obviously shooken. I was heartbroken. It really impacted me in such a significant way. I felt humiliated. I felt used. I felt abused. I felt just like a sense of inadequacy when like I'm like, how can they just take me for granted like that and use me to the point where they felt like they had no use for me anymore. But eventually I got over it. I grew from that experience and I became a better person. And it's funny to me that the same company that got rid of me is officially closing down their lab, and they're out of business. They're no longer able to employ anyone anymore. They actually officially closing down their labs now. And it's this tells me it was me. I'm not saying I'm the only person, but I was one of the main reasons why that company was making a lot of money. I wasn't getting paid enough money. I didn't get the respect that I deserve. I didn't get my flowers. They thought I was easily replaceable. And it just shows you, if you are a person, especially when you're a black person, and you're going in this world and you're trying to improve yourself and you're trying to better yourself as a man, and you're going through the struggles in life, people don't want to see you succeed. People don't want to see you reach your full potential. They're praying for your downfall. And in fact, they'd rather see you fail than succeed. But when you're not around, when you're not in that vicinity, when you're not making an impact, they misses you. And in fact, they need you more than you need them. Because once I eventually left, everybody started leaving. Everything started falling down. It was like a stack of bricks. It was just like everything started collapsing amongst itself. It was like a domino effect, and people were quitting. They were letting go people, and everybody started leaving. And eventually, I've heard from people who still work there, and I read an article that the company owes money. They're in debt, and they got to pay back money. These people who loaned them the money, they had to pay back these money, pay back money with interest. So they owe not only they're not only in debt, but they have to pay interest on top of the money that was loaned to them. So what that tells you, it just let me know that when somebody doesn't value you, I'm not speaking only in terms of for your job, right? I'm speaking in terms of also life. When a woman takes you for granted, when you're with somebody, right, and you're loyal to them and you treat them good, and they end up stabbing you in the back and they end up doing you dirty, they're gonna get their karma. They're gonna get their karma, man. They're gonna get it. And in fact, they're going to lose something because you were the person that made their life worth it. Doom Rising said karma quick to collect. Yeah, that's it, exactly what it is, man. Karma came for them, man. And it's a bittersweet feeling to know that I end up getting the last laugh. And I felt like, like I don't like to I don't like to beat down on people or anything like that, but I can't feel sympathy for people who do me wrong, man. I'm the type of person, like, I give you the energy you give me, and it's so funny how it just end up turning out in my favor and how things just end up working out, because it's just how life is. When people are corporate entities or individuals take you for granted, man, they are gonna get theirs eventually. And you gotta know your worth, man. You gotta know your worth as a person. You can't let no one undervalue you as a human being. Because I know without me, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, man. There are days, right? The company was so backed up with so much work. I stood, I stayed for long hours to make sure everything was up to date. There was days that if it wasn't for me, everything would spiral out of control because I was a person that took pride in making sure everything was organized, everything was neatly done in a specific way. And I I remember before they even moved to Connecticut, they were so bombarded with so much stuff because they had to, get everything ready to move to Connecticut. And at the same time, work still had to be done. So we were still receiving samples, and the volume went up in numbers. So we had way more samples that were coming into the lab on a daily basis compared that to before. And it was hard to keep up with the pace of that because we had to also do pack in at the same time to get, all the essential lab materials moved to Connecticut. And it was not something that was going to be done overnight. We had to do it consistently, right? And there was an incident, right, where the worksheet that I was working on, people, this was before they even implemented the protocol that I was the one that I came up with. People were making multiple copies of the same worksheet. It was hard to keep track of everything and to understand which worksheet was the most current one that we needed to do. So I was the one that basically synchronized all the worksheet on the one file. But it took a long time to go through the whole list of worksheet because it was multiple copies, and then some had more recent samples than others. Some was missing other samples compared to the other one. So I had to compartmentalize all the list of samples on the one worksheet, and it took so long. And my supervisor got at me because of that. This guy don't work at that company anymore, but he tried to scold me for that because he said you didn't get permission to stay later. And I was trying to explain my side of the story, and he didn't want to hear it. He was speaking over me. And it just tells you, right? Even though you do the right thing, if people feel like they have some authority over you, they're gonna treat any type of way, and they could care less about the difference you're making for that job. They could care less about the value you are bringing to that company. At the end of the day, they'll only see you as as a slave. If they only see you as less than a person. They don't value you as a person. They don't value you as an individual, and they'll be quick to just throw you under the bus no matter what. So when it ended up moving to Connecticut, it was still a hassle because everything you have to understand, we're in a different lab setting. Everything is set up differently. We have There's a new set of protocols to follow. There's this You have to get used to the workflow, so it took some time getting adjusted to that, and people are doing things that was not making any logical sense. So we run samples differently depending on what samples we have to run in that particular day or what specific sample we have to run. So let me give you an example. We receive NIPT samples, and there were samples that we received from a different department, but we they work alongside with us. So once they do the test on those samples, we receive it in our department, and then I will actually scan those samples in a separate file for NIPT samples, right? And someone was creating a set of files that I couldn't be able to open up on my own because it was not the same file that we used to open it on. So I updated it on the file that we normally open it on. And my supervisor was like, "Why you need to do that?" And I said, "I can't have access to these files because they run it on a different program." And nothing just makes sense to me because when I fixed the mistakes other people make, they had a tendency to come at me and make me look like I was the bad person. Made me look like I was a person that had no clue what I was doing. And I said to myself, it just baffles me that you could make a huge difference and make an impact for people, and yet they could be so quick to say you did wrong, and they're quick to point out your flaws even though you're technically the one that's making sure everything is done right. And it's just funny to me now. At the end of the day, that company is closing. They're out of business. They're officially closing in January, and they're no longer a thing anymore. And it just tells you, man, when people don't value you and they treat you badly, karma has a way to get back at them. And it could be somebody you took care of, it could be a partner, It just doesn't apply only to a job. It could be a partner who you've been faithful to for many years, and she ends up, doing you dirty, end up turning her back on you. All of a sudden, she don't want to talk to you anymore. That's why I said when it comes on to these women, to make another scenario, women have a tendency to only like you when you're doing well or only when you're successful. A majority of them are not really with you in the beginning stages of that relationship, or the beginning stages when you're trying to build, or when you're trying to get somewhere. They only want that product, they only want the end results. They don't want to fight with you through the struggles, to be there with you as a helpmate when you're striving to become a better person. When they see that you're not making as much money, when they see that you're struggling to make ends meet, when they see that you're having a hard time getting things done, because you're still trying to figure yourself out, and you're making progress, right? They're not there with you through the struggles. They're not there with you through the moments where you're trying to get somewhere. They're so quick to just want to leave. They don't want to be with you when it's hard. But as soon as things start rolling over, and success start coming your way, then all of a sudden they want to come around, act like they was with you to support you from the beginning. And that's the thing I don't like about people. People in general don't want to be with you when you're struggling. In fact, they want to see you fail. In fact, they want to see you falling flat on your face. And then they will stand by and watch you struggle. They will see you having a hard time, and they will pray for your downfall. They will be happy to see bad things happen to you. But in fact, they don't value when you're in the midst of going through that storm. But all of a sudden, when things start working out for you in your favor, and doors start open up for you, they want to act like they were supporting you from the beginning. I don't want that. Most people are not faithful. Most people are not loyal like that. They only come around for a certain season. And when it comes onto like for instance with a job, they only see you as a means to an end, man. I'm gonna make a separate video about that. That you should never put your job ahead of your health, man. I value my health more than any type of company. I value my health more than any money. Money to me is something that you need, is a means for you to buy the things you need, but it doesn't ultimately define me as a person, because I'm not someone who's willing to sell my soul for riches and fame. And I'm talking about when a job is offering me a lot of money, because I had offers, right? I had job offers that were willing to pay me more money than I was making at my other job. There was this one job, right? Thank you for that comment, Doom E Rising. There was this one job that was offering me like good money. I'm talking about I was gonna make, I kid you not, about 2 bands, 3 bands every week. Working in the lab, right? Making good money. But the thing is that this job, it was stationed in New York City, right? I have already have the experience. I'm already qualified to do this job. And the only thing they wanted me to do was update the person who was helping me for the job. He said the only thing you need to do is update the address for the one in New York City, right, on my resume. So I'm ready to, there's no problem. I'm gonna update it. It doesn't take long. It's simple as that, right? So I was ready to submit that my resume and go through the process of the whole job application process. But it was gonna be smooth sailing as long as I updated the address for the one in the city. Everything should have, it was gonna fall into place. So come to find out, he reached back to me, right? And he told me that the manager of the job was telling him that I can't work there unless I get the pointy thing. If you know what I'm saying, I'm not gonna use certain words, but unless I get that pokey doke, you know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? He's like, unless I get the pokey doke, I'm not gonna get the job. And I said, what? I can't work because I choose not. Like, you tell me that I have to be forced to take something that I don't believe in just because you're saying that and it's a policy. So I said no to that. And to me, that's when people sell out, because it's like, oh man, I have an opportunity to make a lot of money. I have an opportunity to make a living. I could make something for myself, and they're willing to sell out. But I'm not that person. I'm not someone who sell out for money, man. I stand firm on my beliefs and my principles no matter what. You would not shake that. You would not persuade me to take something that I don't believe in and then undermine my beliefs and go based of what you feel is right for me. No. If I stand true in what I believe in, I'm gonna stand true on that no matter what. That's just the principle of life. That's just something I stand for. I'm a man of my word. If it's something I don't believe in, I could care less. What you tell me is right from what's wrong, I'm not gonna do it. So I end up not getting it. And like I said, you have a lot of people that they did it because they needed the money. And thankfully, I had a backup plan. That's why I said you have to always have a different backup plan, because you can't trust in the system. Is never stable. The economy, as you know it already, we're in a recession. If you don't have a way to put money aside for emergency use, if you don't know how to plan and manage your money right, you could get yourself in a lot of predicament where you don't feel you can be able to sustain yourself financially. So I had plans of how I was gonna stay afloat financially, because think about it, we live in a corporate society. If you don't have money, you're basically not important. And I really don't understand why people place so much value on money, because money to me is not significant. It's about the person. It's about a person value and what they bring to society. But people don't value certain people because they don't make a lot of money, and yet those people make a huge difference in society, and they're the reason why things are the way they're the reason why society is going and why society is moving smoothly. Let me tell you an example. People tend to look down on people who are working as garbage man, people who clean after others, people who work in fast food restaurant. Yo, I'm telling you something. Without these people, things will cease to exist, man. Society will cease to exist, because you need people to clean. You need people to take out the trash. You need people to work in these food like industries. Even though I don't support fast food industries, because they make society unhealthy. But you need these people, because they're the reason why things just run smoothly. And I open up my eyes and I realize society tends to look down on other people based on their qualifications. But if it's not for these people, nothing will go well, and things will fall apart. Society will collapse underneath itself. And I open up my eyes to see that, and it helped me to look at things from a different perspective. So when I end up working, what end up happening is I end up working I'm currently working at this factory, right? And it's not anything close to my field. It's not, but it's still something where I can make a decent amount of money and I can still pay my bills. But here's the thing: I didn't have to compromise my beliefs in order to work there. I didn't have to take the hokey doke, if you know what I'm saying. I didn't have to, sell my soul for money for any of that stuff. So I rather work a job that's barely paying enough in order for me to still provide for myself without having to compromise my beliefs to do anything. Because let me tell you something. I rather stand for something than fall for anything. And I would feel I wouldn't even think about it. There's something I would never do. It's something that I would never fall for. But it's so funny to me that this government can dictate to you what you should do and from what you shouldn't do, and tell you what you should do with your own body and what they feel is right for you. Even though a lot of things they say is true is not true, and a lot of numbers they give you is manipulated. And people are so gullible and they're so willing to just take whatever the government says and they take it at face value. and they say they're not the type of person to look and question anything. I'm a person that question anything. I question everything. I don't take everything people say as truth for me, because I know that this the government could care less about you, man. They don't value you as a person. They will use you as a scapegoat, and you're only a test dummy to them, or a guinea pig. So, to make a long story short, man, it's funny to me that company that is no longer in business anymore, that got rid of me, is no longer in business anymore. And it just shows you how karma is. And it's another saying, another man trash is another man treasure. It applies anything in life. When somebody don't value you, when they take you for granted, when they look at you and they judge you and they say mean things about you, they talk down on you, they belittle you. When they do all these messed up things and they feel like they could do better, let me tell you something. It's their loss, not yours. I'm gonna repeat this, man. I'm gonna say this again because I have to remind myself this over and over again. I have to reinforce this idea in my mind that when somebody take you for granted, it cannot. I'm not talking specifically with a job. It could be a spouse that you're in a relationship with, or someone, a friend, right? Somebody who you talk to. It could be a friend, a job, somebody you're in a relationship. It could be with your family or someone you had a close relationship. Let me tell you something. When people take you for granted, they don't value you, and they see you as not important. Let me tell you, it's their loss, not yours. Because I would say this to you: you have something unique about you that nobody else can do, and you're not easily replaceable. People say, oh, the company will survive, they get rid of the workers because they can easily replace those workers with new workers. But let me tell you this: that it costs a company more money to replace a more experienced worker with a new worker, because it takes more time to train that new worker how to do the job. And there's no telling that new worker is going to be able to work at the pace that you're working at. And they may not, majority of them don't even value the job as much as you do, because if you've been working at a certain job for a long period of time, you understand the work environment a lot more, and you take the job more seriously because you have more knowledge of what goes on inside that work environment. But they can't easily replace you with someone else, because it would take longer for them to even catch up to the work load. It's not even about them being able to work at a certain pace. It takes time for them to even understand how the workflow works, understanding the ins and outs of how that work environment operates. And they can't be able to do that without sufficient amount of training. And I was also the person that trained other people how to do the job too. I trained a supervisor how to do the job, and they still didn't value me. But to make a long story short, when somebody don't appreciate you and they take you for granted, man, I'm telling you this: they gonna lose. They're losing something valuable, and you're valuable. You're worth something. Society tend to look down on certain group of people, especially men that may be called, social outcasts, or they may, certain groups of people, right? They may label them as, social misfits and stuff like that. I never looked at myself as somebody who was a social misfit, but I understand that there are certain stereotypes that comes with, living in a society that's very superficial. And if you don't follow certain social norms, people are gonna look down on you. But I know at the end of the day, I bring value, and I have purpose, and I'm not here just to exist. And then when somebody take you for granted, they end up losing more, because you are worth something. You have something that nobody else can provide, and you're not easily replaceable. I believe that, that in life we all have struggles. We all have our moments in life where we feel down, where we feel hopeless. But my struggles is unique for me, and no one else can tell me how I should feel about my own struggles. I had to fight hard for everything I had, And at the end of the day, I had to pull myself up by the bootstrap, and I had to keep moving forward despite all the setbacks I had to face in life. And no one can write my own story. You could act like you know me, you could act like you understand my life, or you understand what I'm going through. You could not ever write my own story. And it's just a life lesson that you have to learn. I learned through my life, and I apply it even now, that don't let no one tell you you're not worth anything, man. Don't let no one define your worth or define your value, because they can't replace you. They can't do anything like you. You are unique in your own way, and you do something that no one else can do. There's something that you can do that no one else can do. They may do differently, but at the end of the day, they can't do it like you. And one thing I value when it comes onto life is I take pride in doing things the correct way. I take pride in my work. I take pride in bettering myself as a man. I'm not the type of person, I don't feel satisfied. I don't feel like I ever reach my full potential. I feel like there's always room for improvement. I'm a person that's willing to learn, that's willing to go the extra mile, that's willing to take the step necessary to get to the next level. But when you live in corporate America, and just in this society where systemic racism still exists, they will never see you as equal. They will always try to undermine everything you do. They think that you're less than a person when you bring so much to the table. You add so much value. I'm gonna tell you something. A lot of these white coworkers of mine that I worked with, they made a whole lot of mistake. I was the person that fixed those mistakes. Am I perfect by any means? No. Like I said, I'm a person. I'm willing to learn from. If I'm upfront. If I make a mistake, I'm a person that are I take accountability for everything I do wrong. And one thing I noticed that's wrong with society and messed up with society is that there's a lot of people that refuse to take accountability for anything they do wrong. They're not willing to look themselves in the mirror and say, "I messed up. I know I fucked up, and I need to change something about myself." And I need to evaluate where I'm at in life and how I can better myself. And they're not willing to make the necessary changes to improve themselves. But with me, I take criticism. Well, I don't take people who are trying to be negative and speak down on me. I don't. I say fuck those people. Okay, they're not trying to better me. I'm talking about people who give constructive criticism, people who want to see me do well. I take that very seriously because I try to learn what can I do different, what ways can I change, what ways can I improve myself, because there's always room for improvement. That's one thing I know. When you go out there in the world and you want to improve your life, you got to put yourself out there. You got to try. And rejection is just a part of life, but I have to realize people who reject you don't value you because they don't see the value that you have. But you still have value. Your value don't change because somebody else tells you that you're not important. You know your value, you know your worth, you know what you bring to the table. And with these jobs in a company, they may not see your value, but you bring a lot to the table. You bring a lot. There's some things that you do that make that company way more successful than they could ever be if it wasn't for you. You are the reason why things run smoothly. I was the reason why things run smoothly. I was the reason why, you know, things worked out the way it's supposed to. But when you're working and you're doing the stuff you need to do, people overlook that. They don't appreciate that. They start hating on you because they realize that you make a difference. I've noticed this in life, right? When people see you doing something productive and they see you doing well, they have a tendency to hate on you. They're so quick to judge you. They're so quick to undermine and and say you don't make a difference. But you do fucking make a difference. But they in fact they know that you make a difference, but they don't want to acknowledge that. That's what haters do. They know you make a difference, but they don't want to acknowledge that. They don't want to give you your flowers. And also it has to do with YouTube. I make a lot of important pivotal videos, but do I get any? I hardly get acknowledged for those videos. I hardly get the support that I deserve. People don't give me my flowers, even though I speak a lot of truth to power. Even though I call out the lies and the hypocrisy of a lot of people, Do I get my flowers? Do I get my respect? No. People actually want to see me do. They don't want to see me do well. They want to see me fail. There's so much haters out here in this world, especially when it comes onto YouTube. You got a lot of people that will watch my videos, but they won't support the video. They won't like it. They won't comment under my videos. And I do get support. Like, I'm not acknowledging the fact that I don't get support, because there are people who do show love. But I'm saying the majority of people don't want to show love. Majority of people don't want to see you do well, man. That's just a fact of life. That's just the life. That's the type of world we live in, yo. When they see that you're doing something for yourself, most people want to see you fail, man. That's a fact. You cannot tell me nothing differently. When people see you're trying to improve, when people see that you're trying to make something for yourself, right? Some people want to see you in the same position that you were in a few years back. They don't want to see you move up in life. They don't want to see you find a person, a significant other, right? Some people want to see you alone and miserable for the rest of your life. And then when you eventually find them someone, you end up finding somebody that makes you happy, right? When you eventually making something work for you, they hate on you. They start hating on you, man. They start wishing things bad happen to you. That's how evil, maniacal, and whimsical people can be, man. People will say, "Oh, um, they would try to sabotage everything you do," and then in the workplace environment I'm working at right now, you come across coworkers who have to point out every little thing you do wrong. People are so judgmental, man, and I noticed that even at the work environment, man. Even if you do a good job, they have a tendency to point out any little flaws they could find. They like to act like they're better than you. You gotta deal with assholes at the workplace who try to talk down to you, and I just let that stuff. I don't let that stuff phase me, man. I use that as motivation when it comes on to life in general. When I use rejection as an opportunity to improve and learn about myself. I don't take it personal. I used to, and it still hurt because we're human beings, right? Nobody likes to feel rejected. So anybody who tell you that they don't care about getting rejected is a liar, man. Because at the end of the day, we all have feelings and emotions. Nobody likes to feel left out. Nobody likes to feel rejected. Nobody likes to feel they are not appreciated. We all want to feel a sense of appreciation from others. We all want to feel like loved. Nobody wants to feel like they're nobody, right? But what I came to realize is that when somebody don't appreciate you, and they, like, relationship, for instance, when you deal with a woman, right, and you realize you put so much time and effort into in the relationship, or you trying to build with that woman, and they said they're not feeling you like that, they're not in the right headspace, right? They don't appreciate you, they don't value you as a man. It's funny to me that they will take you for granted, right? When you're the person that's qualified to be that man they need in their life. They don't appreciate good man. They don't value good man. But then when a man comes around and do them dirty, right? Treats them like shit, ends up leaving them broken hearted, right? Then they want to say, "Oh, where are all the good men gone?" Now they want to make it up for the guys that they overlooked, the guys that they didn't want to give the time of day to, the guys that they play these games with, the guys that they waste their time string along, always never be emotionally available, always say that they got always come up excuses. Have you noticed this when it comes on to dealing with modern women? They always have an excuse to they always seem to have an excuse as to why they don't want to commit to you, why they don't want to date you, and especially when it comes on to you, trying to build with them at the initial stages of like, getting to know them. They're always trying to find excuses as to why they don't want to build with you. They always say, "Oh, I'm not in the right space, headspace," or I'm not feeling you like that," or they always come up with excuses, right? But then when they end up getting like raw dog, when a guy comes around that don't value them and don't appreciate them, ends up leaving them broken, shattered, and discard them like they're yesterday's trash. Then they coming back to you, and now they want to ask you to accept them and welcome them with open arms, but they're leaving you with a lot of baggage from their past relationship. The guy that didn't treat them well, the guy that didn't appreciate them. It just tells you that they show you they didn't see the value that you had, even though you were the person that brought a lot of value to their life. And women tend to not appreciate good men. They tend to take them for granted. And it's not just with women, it's just like when it comes on to people you're trying to build relationships with, people tend to not appreciate you. In fact, they want to make it difficult for you. And then when they end up doing, meeting someone that treats them terribly, they start understanding what value you bring to the table. But at that point, you move on with your life. You're not gonna take back somebody who do you wrong. Because I believe, character is something that I really value. Um, Someone do you wrong, and if they take you for granted, if they see you as someone that's easily replaceable, don't ever take somebody back who feel like you're easily replaceable. Walk away. Be willing to walk. The best thing a man could do is walk away and never look back. Let me repeat that again. The best thing a man can do when it comes onto a job, when it comes onto a woman, when it comes onto friendships, when it comes onto family, when somebody doesn't value you and they don't appreciate you, the best thing you could do as a man is walk away and never look back. Don't don't ever take back someone who do you wrong, man. Because when you really needed them, when you really had to go through a lot, they were not there with you through the thick and thin. I'm a person. I don't hold things in my heart. I'm not someone who holds grudges, but I don't forget. I don't forget. I forgive, but I don't forget. There's two different things. I move on with my life. I don't hold on to things of the past. I don't let it bear. I don't let it hold me back from achieving things in my life. I look forward, but I don't forget what you put me through in the moments in my life. I don't forget those moments. I don't forget that. So people, they have a tendency to want to only be there by your side when they see you elevating, when they see you making progress, when they see things working out in your favor. All of a sudden they come around acting like they were supporting you from the beginning. But they weren't. They weren't with you when things were hard for you. A lot of them wanted to see you fail. You see that fake love? I can't stand, man. If you were not with there supporting me in my hard times, don't be there around me when I'm successful. Don't be there supporting me when things start going well for me. Cause that's that fake love I can't stand. Most people are fake, man. And it just tells me that a lot of times it's better off just being led by yourself. Like you're not a person that's gonna be, you can never be completely by yourself. We're human beings, right? We're social creatures. But I say a lot of times it's better to avoid certain people because what they do is try to bring you down. And more, they say more money bring more problems, but nobody's saying more people bring more problems because it's not the money that's the problem, man. Money doesn't bring problems, bro. I know people say I've said it before. More problems, more money bring more problems, but it's actually more people bring more problems if you think about it. Technically speaking, right? Because you can have a lot of money and people don't gotta know about your business. People don't gotta know that you have a lot of money. But once you have fame, once you have fortune, and people know that you're wealthy, then this trouble comes around because people expect things from you. People expect a handout. The more people you know, is the more problems you have in your life. If you don't know a lot of people and you're a multi-millionaire, right? And you live just a very normal life. You don't put your wealth out there. You don't let people don't know that you have money like that. You're gonna live a normal, simplistic life. But if you start start acting like you got money and you start showing off for people, then people gonna start hating on you. It's people that bring problems, not money, man. Money is just a piece of paper, yo. How can we put so much value on something that's materialistic? That's material. That's not something that's is actual worth anything. If you get what I'm saying, people put too much value on superficial things. If you're around people, right? The majority of people, not majority of people, yeah, majority of people, they have their own drama, they have their own problems, and they have a tendency to want to put all that on you, them dump their problems on you. You get what I'm saying? So more people bring more problems, not more money. Sometimes when I'm working, I'm better off by myself, working by myself. I don't have to be dealing with people with bullshit. I'm better off doing my own work, better off just focusing on myself. And I realize a lot of times people bring unnecessary drama in my life. It don't have to be, you know, because I am not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Just people have a tendency to hate on you for whatever reason. For whatever reason. But my life been going on for hours now. I'm gonna wrap this video up and say, man, another man trash is another man treasure, man. When people don't value our company or anybody you experience in life, if they don't treat you well, man, it's their loss, not yours, man. And when one door is open, another one closes. So that job, they may not they didn't see my worth, but somebody else saw my worth, and they took me under their wings, and everything is has been gone well ever since. But anyways, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching my live stream. I appreciate the likes and the comment. And if you could donate to the Cash App $ being resilient, I would gladly appreciate any type of donation. And support the stream, like, comment, and share on all platforms. Please share this video because people always say they like your content, but they don't actually show support and they don't actually put any action behind what they do. I like the comments, the positive comments, but if there's no action behind what you say, it's really null and void to me. So, if you could share my videos on all platform and put my videos out there, I would really appreciate it. And thank you for the support for those who comment. It does mean a lot to me. Your kind words have definitely influenced me and motivate me to keep posting more videos. And I have a busy life. I work and I do other things besides post videos on YouTube. I have a life outside of YouTube. I'm not someone who stays in the house all day. I'm not a hermit, but I like my downtime. I like my alone time. But your life have value, you have meaning, and I'm not just someone who just here to exist. I believe I have a purpose to fulfill on this earth, and I'm here for a reason, and I'm gonna keep working to improve myself and reach the next level in life. But I'm gonna finish this video and say, man, don't let no one value undermine your value. Let no one tell you what you're worth. At the end of the day, what your worth is and what you mean. You mean a lot more than what people think you mean, and you make a difference. I know I make a difference in this world, and even though I may not get a lot of support, I know my videos is reaching someone and it's helping somebody else cope with their own circumstances in life. But anyways, my video's been 1 hour. I don't like stretching out these videos for too long. I like to keep them short and spicy. But I like to speak my truth to power and express my own life experience so that someone can understand where I'm going through and it can help them deal with their own struggles in life. But that's about it. I'm gonna finish this video up. Um, if I was gonna say, if you always feel like you're not worth anything, man, don't ever let no one tell you you're not worth anything. You're born in this world for a reason, man. And it may not even seem significant, but everything you do and you try to make something work for yourself, it makes a difference. it does make a difference. We do make a difference, man. If I speak on certain topics, I know it's reaching somebody. I know it's helping somebody else in their own life. And I know I may not have a huge bigger platforms compared to some people. And I may not have as much reach as some people do, but I know my videos, when I post them, it does reach somebody. It does help someone in their own life, and it helps them to improve their life, and it helps them to get somewhere in life. And I'm just gonna keep posting videos, and I keep putting some more content out there. And I'm gonna do what I gotta do to be be a better person in life, and get somewhere in life, and improve my overall quality of life. And better is yet to come. All right, take care. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the like, the comments, and please support. It really does make a difference. All right, take care. Bye for now.